What is up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Happy day one of Broncos training camp. Oh my gosh, I love saying that so much. We're going to wait for all of our channels to pop in here before we get going. Got a special guest on the show today as well, but thank you all so much for coming to Beckoning the Broncos. I'm Kim Becker. You can find me at Kimberly J. Becker, and we're going to start talking about what is up with the Denver Broncos as they head into day one once we get everybody in here. And we will also talk about a few key players with our special guest that will hopefully have their breakout season, see if they can perform under pressure. So we will just see you guys over there in the chat already. I love to see it. Hope everyone's doing well. Good morning to everybody. Yes, like Dylan says, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I love it. Thank you so much. We got Gregory popping in here already. Are you kidding me? Right off the bat. Gregory, thank you so much. He's obviously ready to get this one going. I know we all are. Really excited. Want to make sure we've got our Facebook people in here real quick before we bring on the special guest, but happy to see you guys here. Training camp is here. Love it. Okay, it looks like we're good to go. How is everybody today? I hope you are as energetic as me, most likely as energetic as Coach Hackett will be, because we heard him speak with George Payton yesterday. We heard Cortland Sutton and Justin Simmons speak yesterday as they reported for camp ahead of day one here. They had their conditioning yesterday. Some press. Again, Gregory, thank you so much for the support already. Just another shout out to you. Thank you so much. Let's go, Broncos country. It's going to be a great day. Christian popping in here as well. He says, good morning, Kim. Just had my 25th birthday yesterday. Excited for training camp. Let's ride. Happy birthday, Christian. 25 was a good year. Oh, I still tell people I'm 25. I'm not, but I'm going to keep just saying that. A happy birthday. What a day to have a birthday, right? As everyone reports to Denver Broncos training camp and ahead of day one. Jeremy's popping in here as well. And without further ado, I do have a special guest today, and that is Jeremy. So Jeremy's going to pop in here with me. Jeremy, welcome to Beckoning the Broncos.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Honor.
Love having you here. I know you've been so interactive with me over my first few episodes leading up to today, and we've got some great topics to talk about. So I am stoked that you are on the channel with me this morning.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I've loved the show since you started it. You're doing a great job, and happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Well, it's day one of Denver Broncos training camp, and we've got some things to get to. You had a great topic that we can discuss today, and that's which Denver Broncos players you think really need to perform under the pressure of this upcoming season. So I will have you start off. There's a handful of guys that we know need to have a breakout year. That's no secret for the Denver Broncos. Some of the names that we've been talking about on this channel, on all of our Mile High Huddle channels. So I'm sure that everybody can really kind of interact with us on this one and give us their thoughts and opinions as well. But Jeremy, let's start with you. Who do you think is the top player that needs to perform under pressure in this upcoming season?
Well, I think the obvious one, probably on most people's minds, is probably Jerry Jeudy.
Yep.
I mean, that's probably goes without saying, just because, he had the drops the first year. He's a rookie. We expected a lot, being 15th pick, all that. And then last year he had the high ankle sprain, what some would call a hospital ball. Scott will not, but yeah. So I think that he's probably the most got the most pressure on him, chomping at the bit, just to go out there and perform and just have a great season.
And those no touchdowns last year, I know that's something that, we talk about, we hear about all of the time. It's like for a wide receiver at that caliber, I mean, he has to be able to perform in the red zone when it matters. But a lot of people will argue that he didn't have the correct quarterback, right? He didn't have the right guy throwing the ball to him. So now with Russell Wilson, I mean, what better option does he have? So if he does not perform with Russell Wilson out there taking the snaps and throwing him the ball, it's not going to be a good look for Jerry Jeudy this year.
Yeah, I think the thing last year was we were all excited. Well, the Teddy people were like, oh, well, Teddy can get him the ball right when he makes the break. He's going to be open a ton. That obviously, well, he got hurt right away, so we didn't get to see
Right.
what that was going to happen. I think the thing with Russ is he's more known as going like down the sidelines, where that immediately you start to think of like a Cortland Sutton type of person, kind of for that kind of a thing. But he had Tyler Lockett. That was a huge player for him. So I think Jerry, without KJ being in there yet, starting on the pup list, I think that Jerry's he's going to have to figure out and work with him and figure out like be that Tyler Lockett role. And if he can do that, sky's the limit.
I mean, yeah, like you said, with KJ Hamler on the physically unable to perform list starting today for day one, Jerry Jeudy really cannot get a better opportunity to start a training camp. This is really the golden opportunity for him. He has all eyes on him. He needs to perform. There's been a lot of national media saying that they think that Jerry Jeudy will be that breakout star for the Denver Broncos. So he's really kind of got everything on a gold platter in front of him right now. Not to say he didn't work for it. We know that he's a hard worker. We know that he's hungry for those touchdowns and to make some plays, but this is really the golden opportunity that he has always probably wanted and needed. And so if he doesn't perform to the extent and the expectation that everybody has, it's going to be tricky. But I think you're right. I think he's probably really the right person for Russell Wilson right now.
Yeah. And we've seen him in San Diego at his house practicing. I even saw him on Instagram, when Sierra and Russ opened up their new store, I think at Park Meadows.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So they have a new clothing store there.
I know that.
No sponsor, by the way. But yeah, no. So I saw him dancing with Sierra there. So, I mean, he's very like, trying to get that chemistry going as much as possible, which is smart. That's what you should be doing.
And all of you that have been listening to Beckoning the Broncos know that I agree with that 100%, Jeremy. I am a big person on the chemistry that happens off of the field. I think that is one of the most important aspects to creating a championship team. And we all know that that is the common thing around the entire organization right now. That is what they want. You can say playoffs or bust, Super Bowl or bust, whatever it may be. But you heard George Paton and Nathaniel Hackett yesterday both say this is a marathon, but our mentality is that we are going to the Super Bowl. That's just the mentality, right? He said, I think it was KJ Hamler and Cortland Sutton said something like, our mentality is Super Bowl or bust. That's how we're heading into this training camp. That's how we're going to head into week one. And one of the reporters asked George Paton if he was upset about that mentality. And George Paton was like, what? No, that is the mentality that I want, right? So yes, I mean, that's exactly where this team is headed. And that has to be the mentality for all of them, really. Yeah,
that's Broncos country in a whole as well, because we are either like, oh, this season's going to be, like going into last year, we're like, we don't even have a legit, number one quarterback. We're going to see what happens. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as you get Russell, it's like, oh, we're going Super Bowl or bust. You know what I mean? That is, I've lived in, I'm a Denver native, all that. And that's how we are. We're just like, oh, if we have Peyton, if we have John Elway, if we have Russell Wilson, if we have a top guy, our expectations are the Super Bowl, which adds a lot of pressure, but pressure, can make a diamond or the pipe. So you want a guy who wants the pressure.
Yep.
If that's a coach, a GM, quarterback, anybody.
Yep. Anyone on the roster. And we know Russell Wilson likes the pressure. We know he thrives under pressure. It seems to be no problem for him. We've got Travis Weber popping in here also saying, I feel Bradley Chubb desperately needs to stay healthy and step up this season. That is definitely a name that has been on the radar of Broncos country as well. I know George Paton was asked about Bradley Chubb's contract yesterday and how he would step up. Nathaniel Hackett mentioned how he was playing a couple years ago when Green Bay played him, and they want to see him, really step up as well. So yes, that is a very good name to add to the list. But Jeremy, we'll continue on here. My choice for the player that needed to step up under pressure, perform under pressure this next year is Albert Okwuegbunam. Okay. I think in the tight end competition, we know it's going to be fierce with Greg Dulcich coming in. Alberto has had a couple of rough seasons just with some injuries and whatnot, but I think that he's someone that can really perform really well. This guy is huge, 6'5", 265 pounds. I mean, the guy is so big. He ran a 4.49 40-yard dash. So I do think that he has the capabilities and the skill level needed to perform in this next year. And having that competition with Greg Dulcich coming in, I think it's going to be really, really awesome for him. I think it's going to be something that kind of lights a fire under him. And I think that we're going to see big things. But I do think there's a little bit of pressure because you've got this rookie tight end coming in that has attention for multiple different reasons, right? We all know Greg Dulcich has had been in the spotlight a little bit, if you want to call it a spotlight, for, you know, the short shorts, the long hair, whatever it may be. But there have been some slack on Dulcich and his 40-yard dash time, which was 4.69. You know, people were saying that wasn't that fast, but he's come right back and said to people, you know, that doesn't matter. Go watch what I did at UCLA. Go watch what I'm about to do this year. So that mentality is also, I think, pretty good for Alberto, but I do think that he's going to need to step up under pressure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think kind of who put the most pressure on him when they drafted Dulcich. Remember what they said in the war room? They kept saying, "We don't have a guy like this. We don't have a guy like this." Which, if you're Alberto, you know, you got to feel great that, oh, okay, they traded Noah Fant, which also is like, oh, okay, well, they didn't want me because that was originally who was like on the block. Right. And so he goes, okay, well, I'm going to prove that. And then all of a sudden you hear from your coach and GM, we don't have a guy like this. And to me, it's like he's a pass catching tight end, right? So if you're Alberto, you get a guy right behind you who's like handpicked, you know, that's their second pick that they had in the draft. And yeah, I'd have a fire lit under me for sure. And you're the vet. So, you know, it's going to take Dulcich a little bit of time. You got to learn two positions. You basically got to learn all the blocking positions as well as like all the routes and, you know, the pass catching. So that's going to take a little while. I don't expect Dulcich to just light the world on fire this year just because he's a rookie. Usually
different game.
Rookie tight ends don't. But if you're Alberto, like this is your year to be like, hey, wait a second. I am not going to just get pushed over here.
Exactly. And, you know, I think it's motivation to hear that. And I'm sure that he probably has the same mentality to hear, oh, they don't think I'm the guy, right? They got to, you know, it's kind of like a Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers situation when he was drafted and everyone was like, wait, what's going on here? And, you know, I mean, obviously very, very different situation, but kind of the same mentality. And it's happened multiple times, multiple teams in the draft in different positions. But yeah, I think that was definitely some, okay, what's going on here? What do I got to do to prove myself? Because they clearly don't see me at the level that probably Alberto wants to be seen at. But like you said, he's a pass catcher tight end. Well, you've got the best pass catcher in the league, arguably right now, right? Under center. So another guy who has the opportunities at his hands with Russell Wilson there, being that veteran tight end, the only one really that should be able to perform to the caliber that is expected with the Broncos organization this year. So I definitely think, yeah, he's got a fire underneath him. Very interesting to see what will happen with Dulcich. Like you said, rookie year, rookie tight ends normally don't have that breakout year right away. Also, just the difference in college and NFL is big. You can't expect, right? I mean, there are only a handful of rookies around the league that get the attention that maybe like PS2 got, last year, right? We all know that he's going to be a star player in the league for years to come. But yeah, especially in the tight end position and just knowing how different it is going from college to the NFL. I mean, it's a friggin', you know, swarm of information coming at him in rookie mini camp and now in OTAs, and now it's day one of training camp. So the next few weeks will be very telling for a lot of these players. We've got some other people in the comments. EJ is over at YouTube and he says, Alberto has the talent and skill. He just needs to stay healthy and be available this season to shine. My goodness. How many players could we say about that, though, right, on the Denver Broncos roster right now? We need a lot of these guys to stay healthy. We all know number one is Russell Wilson. We all, you know Jerry Jeudy, like you brought up, Jeremy, is someone that needs to stay healthy. Melvin Gordon needs to stay healthy. Albert O, like they all just need to stay healthy. And that's something that we're all probably crossing our fingers about.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. I said in the chat yesterday, I was like, I think last night, I was like, let's just pray for just good health because there's so much new information, new players, new chemistry, new everything. And, you know, keep fingers crossed that we don't have one of those training camps where you're just like, oh, you know, it would have been great if everybody would have stayed healthy. But, you know, that didn't happen. But I think that's the number one thing. If we can just, and that's why I don't think you're going to see much of Russell Wilson in the preseason games. You got to figure out your offensive line. I mean, how much heat is someone going to take if you put in a new offensive line, or you're trying out different players? Russ takes a hit or something, and then he's going to miss games or something. Like, you'll be like, why would you even have him out there? So we're all chomping at the bit to see it, but we're probably going to have to wait till Seattle to see anything really of relevance, for sure.
And I think that's a safe option. I think it's an option that we can all agree with would be the best option. Jamie pretty much read your mind over here on YouTube. He said, I'm interested to see how much playing time Russell Wilson will get in the preseason. Exactly. I mean, I think that we all probably are hoping that we can see a glimpse of him just to kind of get a taste of what we might be seeing throughout the regular season. But God, no, keep that man on the sidelines as much as possible in the preseason. No need. I know we're all, like you said, chomping at the bit to see him and really anticipating to see what he's going to bring to this team this year. But yeah, no need to rush anything. Another thing that Nathaniel Hackett really, hounded on yesterday in his press conference was this is a marathon. So while we've got, the Chiefs on the schedule and we want to see a Broncos win against the Chiefs, because we haven't in so many years, we want to see them win the AFC West division. So we got to make sure that they really got the Raiders and the Chargers where they want them to be. Nathaniel Hackett said, this is a marathon and I need these guys to be healthy through 17 games. So we're going to think about training camp right now. And then we're going to think about week one when week one comes, because to have that championship mindset, Justin Simmons touched on it yesterday as well. He just said, they're so excited, especially coming off of vacation. They have so much excitement, so much anticipation for this upcoming season. And he's like, we got to know how to scale it back, because we cannot, go 100 miles an hour right off the bat and then be tired. And that's what Nathaniel Hackett said too. Through 17 games, these guys need to understand how to approach how they're feeling when it comes to being tired, being over, physically exhausted, whatever it may be. So I think that's also a very important aspect when it comes to training camp, and Russell Wilson and everybody else on the roster who we're chomping at the bit to see is that this is going to be a long season. It is a marathon.
Yeah, I mean, 17 games now. And not only, I'm sure the players, coaches, all that are excited. This city is just like so excited. We haven't been able to go to training camps for a couple of years.
Right.
We haven't had good product. We've had no music, and the practice, all that kind of stuff. And now it just feels like everything is now a new thing. And I expect to hear, record numbers or Peyton Manning like times numbers at training camp, because if you really want to see it, we're all going to be watching those like practice highlight videos where you don't really get to see anything, but you get to see a guy throw the ball, a zoom in of the football, and then somebody catching it, and you go, I think that was a good play, from what we could tell. But I think that's probably what we're going to get for a while. But it is true, like, you don't want to come out like we saw last year. You could start off hot when your first 3 games means nothing. So, we're going to have to close this season. That's going to be our tough stretch. That's when we're going to play most of our division games. We have that bye, luckily, kind of a double bye where we're going to London. And then, have the bye right after. So that will be a really determining point of where we're at, because I think we need to be starting off somewhat hot, which is going to be tough because there's so many changes. That's the hard part, is with so many moving parts, obviously we've upgraded clearly, but that takes time to gel. We all remember that, Peyton Manning, his first year, we started 2-3 and almost we're going to lose that game to the Chargers. It took like a miracle comeback, which, then we just rolled people. But it's not going to be like, oh, we're going to come out and just kill people. That's not realistic. But we have a really good team. Especially you have 2 running backs, you have an unbelievable like wide receiver crew. So yeah, if we can stay healthy, we can, any goal is doable, but we need to like take one step at a time, I think, instead of just being like, oh, let's go out and just show what we have. Because our division's ridiculous. This, in my entire life, I don't know if I've ever seen a division like this in any division, let alone our division.
Undeniably the most competitive and most stacked division in the league right now. I completely agree with that. Jacob Foster over on Facebook, thank you so much. I see you being patient over there, supporting us. We really appreciate you being here, Jacob. Love seeing you every week. I know you're a big Mile High Huddle loyal fan. So thank you so much, Jacob, over on Facebook. Appreciate you as always. Let's see who else we got in here. Miguel, I think the linebacker core is the biggest hole, and I really want them to shine. Yeah, let's pop it over to the other side of the ball, right? I mean, the linebackers, we don't have a bunch of big names in the whole linebacker core. We've got Josie Jewell, obviously, who's coming out, in a few years here with the Broncos, dealt with some injuries as well. So we do think that he's probably going to have a big year, hopefully. But yeah, I agree with you there, Miguel. The linebacker core, we've got to be able to make sure that the defense is strong out there. We know we've got a great secondary that will probably take care of, what they need to do, take care of business, and Justin Simmons and Pat Surtain. A third guy out there, Caden Stearns, right? Probably safety number 3. That is probably another guy who needs to have a big year. But when it comes to the linebackers, absolutely, we've got to make sure that they stay healthy and that they shine out there too. So they get Russell Wilson some time to breathe on the sidelines, but then give him all the opportunities that he can on the other side of the ball. So I think that the defense is definitely going to shine. We've had a great defense overall. The last year, we can credit Vic Fangio to that one. We know that he's got a great defensive mind. I know a lot of you don't love me saying his name on this show either, but I just did. So deal with it. But yes, I agree with you there, Miguel. Linebackers, secondary as a whole is going to be pretty interesting. What do you think on that one, Jeremy?
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing with the linebackers is weird just because Evero didn't use linebackers as much. And so I think that they felt comfortable like sticking with Josie, and then Jonas Griffin played, really well. Yeah. We traded for him, and he ended up being somebody who you go, oh, this guy has a lot of potential. But, we haven't seen that. We don't have a big name back there. So it seems like a hole, but, it could be a small, the way that Josie looked last year, which was a short sample size before he got hurt, he looked fantastic. If he plays like that, we're fine.
Yep.
And I don't know how many like multiple linebacker sets we're going to see, so like you said, the Caden Stearns, the K1 Williams, those type of people, those are going to be more of like your extra. I mean, that's kind of where the league is going. Yeah. So, it's everybody's like, we want, Troy Anderson in the draft, or, Chad Muma, shout out to Ethan. And, but I just don't think that they prioritize that position that high because of those reasons. So, I think we'll be fine. I think what we need is somebody to organize, which Josie, by all accounts, was great at. Yeah. So, as long as he stays healthy and he's doing that job, he's not going to be like lighting the world on fire and like covering, he's not your, Devin Whites or whatever, but he's totally fine. And I think he's one of those people that's like the unsung like glue of the defense kind of a guy. I mean, the Pat Surtans and those type of people are going to be like the flashy players, but I think Josie, if he just does himself and he stays healthy, that's the main thing. Obviously, if he's healthy, I think we'll be all right.
Common theme here, huh, Jeremy? Everybody's got to stay healthy. We just got to make sure.
That's right.
That's the case. Travis over on Facebook, thank you so much. Also commenting, says, I'm excited to see Browning on the edge and what Griffith does in year 2. So kind of piggybacking off of you there with Griffith, Jeremy. Absolutely. Baron Browning, definitely excited to see what he can put out on the field this year as well. Jeremy, we're running on 24 minutes here, which is fantastic. Did you have any other players that you wanted to chat about that need to perform under pressure?
I think you could easily put both penciled in starting edge guys. I mean, obviously, we mentioned Chubb earlier, and that goes without saying. He, being that highly drafted, everybody was like, oh, this is the obvious. We felt so lucky, he fell into our laps, and then he just hasn't been able. The whole idea was him and Vaughn on both sides is going to be unbelievable, and it just never worked out that way. I think it is like now or never for him. And, I think obviously, so that's an obvious there's a lot of pressure on him.
Absolutely.
They keep saying, George Payton keeps saying, this is the first time he's been 100% healthy for going into training camp for years, so that adds a little bit of, pressure and, expectations. But you just signed Randy Gregory. He was kind of a big splash free agent, and he's starting off, on the PUP list, and he just had shoulder surgery. And so, he needs to also complement and take pressure off Bradley Chubb. And if, I'm not worried yet about it, because they basically told us right when, the injury news came out, like, don't expect him. Our goal is week 1, all that kind of a thing. But, it always worries me when you don't get into, football shape, as they say, during training camp, just to go in there and be like, okay, now go 100% and be your all. And the way his style of play is so, like, I don't want to say reckless, but just like his hair's on fire, which is exactly what we want and need.
Yeah.
But when you don't get, like, the workup for that, and you just go from 0 to 100, that could be a little worrisome. So I think there's a lot of pressure on both of those guys, because, we have the Brownings, we have these, like, second tier, we just drafted Benito, all these different guys, but Chubb and Gregory, I think, both have got to feel a little bit of pressure on themselves.
Absolutely. And again, with Chubb kind of coming off of a year that wasn't so hot for him on many different accounts. And so, yes, he's definitely one that has to step up. But I think that's what's so great about training camp and, about really the beginning of the season, is to see the competition and to see how these guys react to the competition and how they let it be their motivation to perform. Because I think we get to see a side of these guys that, you obviously don't see when they know they're automatic number 1 or anything like that. But to have the energy around the organization that we do right now, on top of the competition, on top of having fans, on top of having music back, I think it definitely is going to be an explosive few weeks here at training camp. We're going to see a lot of these guys know that they have to step up and perform during training camp and really make a name for themselves. So, Jeremy, that was awesome. Thank you so much for coming on this week. I really appreciate it. I love having you in the chat every other episode leading up to now. Again, week 1, day 1 of training camp here is going to have a lot to talk about for the next coming weeks. It's going to produce a lot for us to talk about, but I really appreciate you coming on with me today, Jeremy.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's just fun to chat with everybody in the chat. I'm sorry I missed it today, but yeah, it's just I get up early because I'm actually a video editor at the local TV station here in Denver. So I'm at work at like 3:30 in the morning. So when the morning show started, I was like, oh, finally, because then the 6 p.m. shows were harder to get to because I have a little one and a dog here.
Ooh.
I think EJ said to say hi. This is Bear.
I know we love dogs on Beckoning The Broncos. I have a Shih Tzu.
As soon as I started talking, he was like, "Oh, I will be on your lap. I need to be on."
It.
Okay.
I love it.
So, but yeah, no, it's like the Mile High Huddle community and the morning show community is the best, and it's just so fun to be a part of it. And it's kind of like you get to chat with your friends every day.
Yes.
Even though we're spread all over the world, and so yeah, no, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
No, it's a great way to bring all of the Broncos fans together. We've got Ethan, the DWI guys, coming in also here with some support over on YouTube. Ethan, thank you so much. You know how much I appreciate you week after week. Thank you so much. He says, well done, Kim and Jeremy. So Jeremy, there you go. Little shout out from Ethan as well. But Mile High Huddle is truly something amazing. It's something very special. I feel very blessed to be a part of it. I'm running on a few years here, took a little hiatus to start a full-time job last year and was really happy that Chad and company wanted to have me back, starting a few months ago. So I am so stoked to be here. I'm here for the long haul. I want to see the Denver Broncos succeed to the caliber that we know they can. And I want to see that Lombardi trophy back in Denver. We've got the Stanley Cup in Denver. I know the Nuggets are itching for a championship as well. And the Denver Broncos are right next to them. So there's a lot of great things happening in Denver, Colorado. And there's a lot of great Denver, Colorado natives and fans all around the world. And I really love that this channel can bring us together. Jacob coming in here as well. He must agree with me, the big Denver fan all around. So thank you so much, Jacob. Thank you so much for showing the support and for showing up. We love having you guys here. Jeremy, love having you in the chat, like I said. So I'll let you pop out here for the last few minutes while I wrap this up, and we'll see you next week, Jeremy. Thank you so much.
Right. Thanks so much. See you guys later.
All right, guys, that was Jeremy coming in here again. I love having you guys pop on this channel with me. It's so much fun to discuss all the opinions and thoughts that you have about this team heading into training camp. So again, if anybody else wants to pop on next week, we will be sure to get anybody in that we can. Really appreciate you guys coming in here and giving me your thoughts. And I'm sure a lot of us are going to have thoughts next Wednesday morning when we've got a week of training camp in the books. So I appreciate that. You guys can DM me at Kimberly J. Becker, both on Twitter and on Instagram, if you guys want to pop on here and give me your guys' thoughts. I really appreciate it. Make sure that you're subscribing to our channel. Make sure that you are liking everything. Follow all of the pods that we have here at Mile High Huddle. You know there are so many nightly, morningly. That's not a word. Maybe I'll make it a word. Morningly. Like Jeremy said, it's pretty fun that we have these podcasts in the morning for those of you that are commuting to work, for those of you that just want a little break before you head to work, your morning coffee listen, whatever it may be. We love being able to do this every day. And I love being able to come and pop on here every Wednesday. And you know what I love even more? That next Wednesday, we're going to have some physical Denver Broncos action to talk about. I got to pop off here soon to call my dad because he said he was going to bike to the valley from his house to get in line to go see day one of training camp. I was extremely jealous that I can't do that today. Otherwise, I would be there too, waiting in line. I think it was gates opening at like 8 o'clock, or parking opened at 8, maybe gates opened at 9, and practice starts at 10. So we're on our way here, you guys. We got about 90 minutes until we see the guys take the field in the orange and blue. So I'm sure you'll all be following along. I'm going to definitely follow along today, see how it goes, make some videos tonight to recap day one. So make sure that you are following Mile High Huddle on YouTube. I'll make some of those videos tonight and pop them on there. Make sure that you're reading all of the articles that are out on Mile High Huddle. You know what a fantastic staff we have here and how hard they work, and they've got some great insights. So love having you guys here. Love all of the different platforms that I get to interact with you on. Thank you so much. This was Beckoning the Broncos. It is day one of Denver Broncos training camp. I am Kim Becker, and I will see you guys next week. Go Broncos!